Today on The Difference, Matt and I sit down with the one and only Tedashii.
As he shares his story, find out how you can learn to hear God's voice and discover his calling in your life. You're watching The Difference.
Welcome to The Difference. Joining us today is artist, musician, and public speaker Tedashii. He's a rapper, podcast host, and founding member of Reach Records' 116 movement. Moreover, he's a husband and a father. We are delighted to have him on the program. Welcome, Tedashii.
Tedashii, it's always great to see you.
Thank
so
you
good to
so
see you guys.
much.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank
for
you
real.
for
Fellow
coming.
Texan, glad to have you
I
back in
know.
San Antonio.
Yes. Listen, it's always good to be back home in Texas.
So did you always know that you wanted to be in music, or how did you
Not
start
at
this
all.
as a child?
No. I was a born, bred Texan through and through. So football was what I wanted to do. Like my entire life. I tell everybody, my family are military, educators, or both. Most of them were Army. A lot of them became teachers, or they just went straight into education. And even though that's the case, my first gift that I remember getting was a football. It was put on me early in life. You're gonna play football.
You're gonna play football.
So I played junior high, high school. I went to Baylor and played football there, walked onto the team, and I was like, this is gonna be my life. But after getting injured in college from playing football, music was kind of the thing that consoled me. It was like, okay, I'm just gonna mess around and make music for fun because this is taking my mind off the things that I really want but can't have. And it kind of became the next passion, if you will.
People hear football was my life, and I think sometimes they don't understand how much of a false identity that can be.
Bro.
You know, because I have a 17-year-old son.
Okay, yeah.
And he's right in the middle of it.
Yes,
And
yes.
you're like, you know, even at its most elaborate and extravagant outcome, you know, Tom Brady no longer plays football.
No longer does.
And he's got a life that he's going to live after football.
Yes.
Now what?
Now what?
And when you invest so much of yourself into something like that, you come to a point where you say, well, what is my identity?
Very much
Who
so.
am I?
Very much so.
And even in this case, you know, music, but also back to your name, Tedashii.
Yes.
You know, I mean, there's a purpose beyond Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, whatever night of the week you're playing on.
Right.
What does the name Tedashii mean?
Yeah. Okay, good question. Good question. I get this question a lot, so this is good. So my name Tedashii is actually my real name. It's my birth name. It's the name that my mom gave me, and it means faithful, right, or true. It's a Japanese word.
Okay.
I am not Japanese at all.
You kidding?
Mama said this is.
You surprised? Like, mom. But my mom, my dad, they were all military, and I think that might have been where they heard the name. So
I love it.
they fell in love with it. And so I honestly think God had a plan. That's what I tell people. I'm like, God had a plan, because that's literally what I feel like my life has been, is to fight to be a person that's faithful, righteous, and true.
It's kind of that Jeremiah 1:5 kind of thing.
That's it.
Before I formed you in the womb, I knew
I
you.
knew you. That's it. That's it.
And even gave you not only a name that had an ordained purpose to it, but a unique thing that would distinguish you.
Very much so.
You know,
Very
so,
much so.
you know,
You stand out a lot when your name is Tedashii. Kindergarten kids are mean when they can't say it. I was like, I used to be like, Lord, I wish my name was David. Please help me. Mike. Why couldn't I be Mike? Like forever. It took forever for me to fall in love with my name, but now I love it.
Well, Hagee's kind of got that same thing to it, because nobody knows how. They're like Hagee, Hodge, Hage.
Hage.
I just wait till they got to the H's, and I'd be like, it's my turn.
My turn.
Hagee.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
You
me.
got to let it be known.
Yeah, I was like
That's exactly
Hay,
it.
and then ghee, like the butter.
Yeah.
You know?
When the substitute comes in, I know to just get ready to help.
So when you realized football was over,
Right.
and music is something that you're kind of using to cope with the void, you know, it's filling the vacuum.
It is.
At what point did you go, I might be able to do something with this?
The very nature of playing a sport and wanting to be excellent at it demands a level of commitment to it. But at a young age, commitment looks like identity. It's hard to differentiate between the two. I'm so committed to this thing that I have to make it who I am in order for it to really matter.
Yeah.
And I did that early on in my life. And I was like, okay, football is everything to me. So I am football. This is who I am. What am I separate from it? No clue. But I never want to think that way, because that may hinder my progress to getting to my goal of what I really want. So ultimately, it became a part of my identity, like you said. Fast forward a few years, I'm living in Dallas, and I'm on staff at a church, and one of the guys that led me to the Lord was very instrumental in like getting me to do music. He said, why don't you start writing this stuff down and we'll see what it sounds like. So I did. I started doing that. And years ago, even at Baylor, he convinced me to do it. And from there, my spiritual father kept saying, man, you should keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. I ended up going to Dallas, and that's when I connected with friends, Lecrae, Tripoli, Shobaraka, a ton of other people, and eventually KB. And we all started doing music together. And what impacted us the most, being college students who wanted to share the gospel. Romans 1:16 says, for I am unashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation for all who would believe, first to the Jew, then to the Gentile. That verse, as a young adult in college, it galvanized our mission to go out and be unashamed. And we wanted to preach that message to Christians and share the gospel and the good news of Christ with non-believers and let it be known this is a good thing. This is good news. We are going to be unashamed of this good news. And out of that, that campus ministry came us doing music and then eventually doing the whole label and 116 movement.
For those of you who would like to find out more about Tedashii, I want to encourage you to take a look at this music video, I'm Good.
Ain't stressing now. Feeling real good about life. Been a blessing now. Learn these things through the pain and the strife. When you move on. When you climb those hills you had to climb. There's a mountain in the way every time, but I survive. Oh, I'm good. $2 in my pocket, I'm good. They trying to get me caught up, I'm good. And I ain't never going back, cause I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. And if they want it, they can get it, I'm good. Tell them, man, I'm coming with it, I'm good. And if they think that I'ma quit it, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Man, I'm good. 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 Keep it pushing, I ain't moving back. Learn my lesson, I'm done with all that. New ways call for better days. Wipe out, but you gotta learn to ride the wave. I've had my whole world change over a phone call. What can happen, we really don't know. All that matters is that you don't fold. Keep pushing on and on. I'm good. $2 in my pocket, I'm good. They trying to get me caught up, I'm good. And I ain't never going back, cause I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. And if they want it, they can get it, I'm good. Tell them, man, I'm coming with it, I'm good. And if they think that I'ma quit it, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Man, I'm good. Sometimes I get fed up. But you gotta keep your head up. Don't you give up. Not here to be a quitter. It's good, all good. Made it through things I never thought I would. They never thought I could. But now I know I'm good. $2 in my pocket, I'm good. They trying to get me caught up, I'm good. And I ain't never going back, cause I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. And if they want it, they can get it, I'm good. Tell them, man, I'm coming with it, I'm good. And if they think that I'ma quit it, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Man, I'm good. I'm good.
The story continues when we return. The Beatitudes are the essence of Jesus' teachings, a code of conduct for Christianity, sacred truths from the Lord's Sermon on the Mount. In a society that exalts personal gain, The Beatitudes offer a message of happiness and service, urging us to be merciful bearers of God's compassion to the world.
For your gift of any amount, we will send you a beautiful olive wood ornament celebrating 75 years of Israeli statehood. For your gift of $200 or more, you'll also receive the Stairway to the Stars sermon series and a Jerusalem stone tile inscribed with the Shema, a foundational prayer of Judaism that has been prayed in Israel for thousands of years.
Allow the lessons in the Beatitudes to guide your life and discover God's divine path for your future.
Send your best gift today. Call the number on your screen or go to jhm.org/blessed.
Welcome back to The Difference. Kendal and I have been joined by our guest and friend Tedashii. Something that you mentioned just before we went to the break, you had a spiritual father.
Yes.
That was encouraging you
Yes.
to do what you do. How important was that as a young believer?
It was very important. I don't know if I can stress very enough, all caps on very, like very important that I had someone in my life like that encouraging me toward the things of God. A friend of mine said, I say a friend of mine, it's actually the same person. He communicated to me, he said, oftentimes when you are in this world, you're floating in the ocean of this world, and it's easy to drift.
Yeah.
If you're not giving direction to your life, it's easy to drift. And this world's natural current is to make you drift toward the things of darkness, the things of evil. So you have to be putting in effort to move away from those things to get closer to God. He was doing things like getting me to do music, having me write songs about God. Like that was his way of making me paddle towards something of distinction.
In that, from one generation to the next, Romans 1:16, you can't get any more foundational than that.
You cannot.
I am not ashamed of the gospel. You know, Paul was saying that in the first century.
Yes.
Young people are saying that in this century, but it takes one generation to the next to continually encourage, hey, if that's what you're not ashamed of, shine.
That's it.
You know, shine
That's it.
in the gift and the talent that you've got so that it can be used for God's glory.
Amen. Psalm 145 is a psalm I read every time before I go on stage, and it says in that psalm, one generation will herald to the next. It will shout to the next generation, your goodness, oh God. And that is what motivates me when I get on stage. I want that in my mind, on my spirit. I want that word in me to know I am heralding forth the good news of the gospel to another generation who has not heard it.
Yeah, and in a way, that's the Lord speaking to you through his written word.
Yes.
But one of the things that you share on is how individuals can know that God is speaking to them in their life. How do you define that?
One of the things that I believe is clear in Scripture is that God was always willing to use individuals, and he was always willing to engage you directly based on what you were involved in. So I found myself trying to be sensitive to the words of people who love me and I trust to come into my life and speak a word. And then I also recognize there is if I'm attuned to it enough, there is a particular pattern God has always engaged me by in my life. For me personally, it's always been a genuine, deep conviction over something. I am aware when I'm drifting because of the conviction that just shows up by the power of the Spirit. The Holy Spirit don't play. I'm like, okay, Lord, I feel you, Lord. Time to break this friendship off, or time to stop hanging with this group, or okay, you know what, Lord, it's no TV today. I'm gonna just get in the Word because I feel what is happening by the power of the Spirit, so I'm moving on. But it's being sensitive enough to pay attention to the means by which God will engage you. For some, it's dreams. For some, it's God is gracious enough to always send a rhema word, like right in the moment when you need it. But for me, I knew it was conviction.
You know, one of the things I struggled with when I was a kid coming up in church is you hear somebody say, the Lord has spoken to me, and I'm waiting for Charlton Heston to, be like, and God said, and then, in reading the story of young Samuel in the temple, he hears the voice of God and twice goes to the wrong guy.
Goes to the wrong guy.
He goes to Eli and he's like, hey, did you call me? And the reason that he went to the wrong guy is because he didn't know what God's voice sounded like.
Right.
And then it clicked in my own life where I was like, Lord, have you spoken to me? And I don't know what you sound like. You know, I mean, I know what my dad sounds like in a crowded room. If he walked in here right now, I'd be like, he's over there.
He's over there, yes.
You know, because I can feel it, you know. And so I had to learn how to develop those spiritual senses to be like, okay, God's speaking to me. And if he's speaking to me in the positive, I know it's him because it's the last thing that I would naturally do.
Yes, very much so.
You know,
That's a great way to say that.
When I hear somebody say, hey, we should do this, and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, we should. I'm like, wait, what?
Wait, hold on.
That ain't me.
That is it, exactly.
Because Matt doesn't want to do that. Matt wants to do the opposite of that. So I'm like, all right, that must be a God thing.
Yes.
Or if it's on that conviction side, for me, it's like almost like an illness hits my stomach. You know, I mean, it's like if you eat bad food and you're like, I don't feel good. And there's no reason for me not to feel good, but it's just like God saying, hey, you feel that? That's going to be you spiritually if you don't get away from this.
Come on, break this down, Pastor Matt. Come on, break this down. That's what I'm talking about with conviction. Listen, you just hit the nail on the head, brother. That's awesome. If I can piggyback off of that and add one thing, for me personally, and maybe other people are like this, there was such a low view of myself in life at some point. I didn't believe God wanted to speak to me. So like Samuel, I'm like, well, clearly you're talking to Eli. He's the man. Why would you ever talk to little old me?
Who am I?
Who am I that you would ever want to talk with me? And so oftentimes we have to start recognizing, no, I'm your child too. You do speak to the people who lead the flock, but I'm your child too.
It's that Godfidence thing.
Yes, Godfidence. Yeah, man, that's it.
When we come back, we're going to discuss how God can take all of the fragments and pieces of your life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and use it for his purpose to shape your life and give his kingdom glory. You're watching The Difference. We're with Tedashii. We'll be back in just a moment.
I'm so grateful that I chose differently. I'm so happy that I chose you. I get to see you become the person God intended you to be. I'm grateful for Sanctuary of Hope, for preparing me, for guiding me. Most importantly, Sanctuary of Hope is my safe place. It's where I can lay my baby's head down and know that God has his shield of protection over us. Thank you, Hagee Ministry Legacy Partners. Because of you, my baby has a chance. Because of you, I had the option to choose life.
There has never been a better time to share the love of Christ with a mother and a child than right now. When you partner with Hagee Ministries, your legacy impacts lives and transforms a nation. Call today or go to jhm.org/partner.
Yeah, man, that's it.
You know, so whenever you walk through life and circumstances and situations, you know, one of the things that happened to you recently is you took a real misstep. What happened?
Yeah, man. So last year on tour, we were in the last city for the tour, Orlando, Florida, and it was the tour with the label. So all 9 of us are out. And backstage,
This is the big show.
This is the big show. And this was the big finale. We all go out together. And so it's pitch black behind stage. I'm walking, trying to navigate my way. And you know, we've done 30 other shows, so I kind of know the layout.
But you got hard cases, you got wires, it's a minefield.
And it's a minefield. And so I trip over a wire, my foot hits a case, my other foot hits the base of the iron pipe or pole holding the screen up.
No.
I fall and I think, oh, I'll catch myself. So I put my hands out to catch myself.
Because football players know how to fall.
Because we know how to fall.
Yeah, we know how to roll.
We know how to roll. I know how to get around it. I'm
tuck
like,
the shoulder.
I'll be okay.
Yep.
And so when I fell and put my hands out, I did not realize the pole for the screen was right in front of me. So I face first into the pole. I hit my forehead, and then that almost made me lose consciousness. I hit the ground, right.
At which point you're wishing you had.
I wish,
Like,
oh my Lord.
I want to go out.
And then I go down to the ground, but I don't land on the floor. My face lands on the base of the pole that holds the screen. So now I have hit my forehead and my eye. I lacerated my forehead, lacerated my eye. I ended up getting rushed to the emergency room, 9 stitches under my eye, 12 stitches in my forehead.
Now, tell me we stopped the song.
Oh no, the show kept going.
Yeah, okay.
The show kept going. Now this is the worst part. I tried to run on stage, but I couldn't see myself. I didn't know that I was cut and bleeding. I didn't know. And so they were like, no, no, no. And they get me backstage, ice everything. And there was a moment where I really was, I said out loud, I was like, guys, just let me go to sleep, please. Just let me go to sleep. They're like, no, stay up, stay up, stay up.
Yeah.
Ambulance comes, I go to the hospital, the doctor, he stitches me up. And it was so cool because the doctor, an older African guy, was a Christian. And he said, man, I usually don't send people home, but you're going home with the Spirit, so you'll be okay. And I felt like that was a blessing on my life. I was like, thank you, man. So I leave and I go home and I find out later, I have a really, really good friend of mine. He works for the Hawks. He's one of their head medical and athletic trainers. And he came over and he walked me through concussion protocol. And he was like, you have a severe concussion. So for 14 weeks, I could not leave my house.
Wow.
I was in my basement, stuck. I could not leave. I could not drive. I tried to drive early. I had vertigo. I couldn't move. Now, one thing that I didn't know with concussions, your brain will oftentimes shut down minor functions to handle major functions. I didn't know this. I didn't know hearing was a minor function in relation to other functions.
Thought it was pretty important.
I thought it was pretty important. But for 3 days, I lost my hearing. And I was like, God, am I this way forever? Like, it was so terrifying. But those were the moments where I was literally by myself, where I hear it all the time. You never know God is all you need until he's all you have. He literally was all I had in that basement by myself. No one was coming to visit. There was nobody coming around check-in. It was just me in the basement. And I'm like, okay, God, I whatever you want me to know, this is the time. I'm here for it.
I can't imagine. Well, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. We've got some video to kind of help people see and understand more the scope of what you've been through. So let's take a look at this video.
You got it. The shock of being hit that way reminded me of when I played football, but the impact of this hit was way worse than being hit on the football field. This hurts like crazy. I have a friend of mine who's a doctor, medical dude, and he was like, man, your hearing and your peripheral vision is really diminished. And now you stay in a place of fight or flight mode because you can't really make sense of the world around you. And you feel like, man, I gotta protect myself or be on guard. Therapy for me, like it was not something I wanted to do. I had people in my life who I trusted who saw the blind spots. It's the only reason I went. Movement in and of itself, like it really does bring about health. Like you think about a pond that just sits stagnant and doesn't move. You have bugs and bacteria, things begin to fester, and like it's not good to drink, it's not good to be in at all. Parasites come in. But water that's moving, like a river flowing, that water is good to drink. You can actually be in that water and be safe. Movement matters in a big way.
Wow. I mean, how you walk through that and then come out the other side knowing, God, you're not through with me.
Yeah. Out of that birthed in me this care for myself like never before. Because
you're fragile.
I didn't know how fragile we were.
Yeah. And I mean, your childhood being involved as you were in sports, toughness. Are you hurt or you just injured?
That's
be
it.
tough, just be strong, push. And now you go through something where you find out man is as grass and the wind blows the grass away.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
One of the things that I've learned in recent years, coming out of COVID and a number of other things, is what I consider to be the everyday power of God. You know, as believers, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understandings. We know how to do that when we need a miracle.
Yes.
We know how to do that when the doctor's diagnosis is you got 6 months.
That's right.
We know how to do that when it's panic mode. That's where we throw up our hands and say, God, you got this, I can't handle it.
Yes.
But what do you do every day? What do you do Monday through Friday when I got this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And God's like, I don't want you to have it on your own. I want to have it with you. Come on and trust on my power because I'm going to do something today that you might not have planned for.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's where you learn that everyday power and how to follow it instead of just say, come along with me, God. You're saying, God, where are we going today?
Yeah. That is where sitting there injured, not knowing what tomorrow was going to hold or bring, there is this moment where I'm like, okay, God, you got to take it every day. But I also recognized if I'm not walking in the purpose and call God's put on my life, then I'm not doing the thing where dependence on him is needed. If I'm just doing what I do, I just do what I do. I'm like, well, I can do that, God. I don't need that. But if I'm intentionally pursuing and walking in the purpose he put on my life, even if I'm just trying to figure out what that is, it takes a level of dependence like never before. So I was there going, I know what you said about my life, God. I believe this is the purpose you have for me. So I'm trusting you in that. I'm not letting go of that hope. I'm not letting go of that trust. So that was where the wrestle was finding its victory, so to speak. I was seeing victory come from that. Yes, through the struggle, I still knew the promise was real. The truth was real. The purpose is real. And from there now, daily dependence is needed because I'm walking in the purpose, not my own prerogative. I'm like, no, I'm moving forward in what you said, God. So you said go, I'm going. And there's a level of belief and trust that comes with that now because it's not by my power or my might. But that went back not just with music to the common things that we take for granted. Just being able to walk up the stairs. I'm like, what a privilege. My kids, so my youngest is 8, and he runs to, when this happened, he was 7. He runs to me every day and jumps for me to catch him, and I couldn't do it. So every time he does it now, I'm like, what a privilege. Like, this is it, man. Come on, run. And he's, I have all boys, so they're all trying to take me to the ground. And so he's running and like jumping, but he's trying to take me down.
Yeah, catch him while you can.
Exactly.
Sooner or later they're gonna run you over.
Run me over. And I'm like, okay, Lord, but it's a privilege. I'm like, I can catch you now. I can stand up and hold you. Early on in the accident, my oldest, who was 12 at the time, he was about to turn 13, he was literally helping me stand so I could walk to the restroom. And like literally he would stand there and hold my arm up so I could brush my teeth. And I'm just like, man, this hurts. I can't do it. It's the daily typical things that we do that we somehow take for granted.
Correct.
When God is like, no, that you need to see that as something to be grateful for. So I'm not taking anything for granted. Even drinking cold water, it hurt. So I'm on here like, oh yes. Oh, I'm not taking anything for granted, man. Nothing for granted. So
well, one of my favorite Psalms, let everything that hath breath praise the Lord. Recognize that every time you inhale and exhale, that's a gift from God. Right. What you do with it is your gift for him. Tedashii, thank you so much for sharing your gift with us today and bringing your talents to this program. I want to encourage those of you who are watching, if you'd like to find out more about Tedashii, you can do so by looking them up anywhere that music and media are streamed. Go online, find out how you can connect with some of the shows that he's going to be doing, maybe in your area, or encourage other people that you know to go out and check out one of his programs. God bless you, and thank you for being a part of The Difference today.